July 6. 63 B.C. The Roman capital fired during the night by an incendiary and consumed. The famous Sibylline verses perished with it. 1189. Henry II of England died. He added Brittany and Ireland to his dominions, attempted to repress the ambition of the clergy, and died of a broken heart at the rebellion of his children. 1303. Benedict XI Nicholas Bécassin, Pope, died. He was the son of a shepherd, succeeded Boniface VIII, and was poisoned by his cardinals. 1439. The solemn act of reunion between the Greek and Latin churches subscribed in the Cathedral of Florence, after a separation of 600 years, by the Pope, the Emperor of Constantinople, and principal members of both churches. 1483. Richard III, with his consort Anne Beauchamp, widow of Edward, Prince of Wales, inaugurated at Westminster. The train of the king was borne by the Duke of Buckingham, that of the Queen by the Countess of Richmond, both of the opposing houses of Lancaster. 1553. Edward VI of England died of consumption, aged 16, and was succeeded by his sister Mary. 1568. John Operinus, one of the most learned and eminent of the early German printers, died. He employed 6 presses and 50 men, and printed only his own works. 1583. Edmund Grindal, Archbishop of Canterbury, died. An able theological writer. 1630. A fleet of 14 sail, with men, women and children, and provisions, intended to make a firm settlement in New England, arrived in Massachusetts Bay. Were on board about 1,500 passengers of various occupations, principally from the vicinity of London, among whom was Governor Winthrop and his Lieutenant Dudley, with several other gentlemen of wealth and quality. The expense of this equipment and transportation was £21,200. 1653. Cromwell's first Parliament met. 1660. Charles II, of England, resumed touching for scrofula. Placing his hands on the neck of the patient, the chaplain sang he laid his hands on them and healed them. 1759. William Pepperell died, an officer in the British service before the American Revolution, and 32 years a member of His Majesty's Council. He was born in Maine, rose to the highest military honors, and in 1745 commanded the expedition against Louisbourg, which was reduced. He was rewarded with the title of Baronet of England. 1767. Michael Bruce, an elegant Scottish poet, died, aged 21. 1775. Congress issued a manifesto, setting forth the causes and necessity of taking up arms in defense of their rights, against England. 1777. Ticonderoga and Mount Independence evacuated by the American General St. Clair, who retreated to Fort Edward. At the same time, the Americans at Skinsborough were obliged to burn their vessels, and retreat to the same place. The British under Burgoyne had advanced their works so far as to threaten a complete enclosure of the Continental Army. 1779. Action off Grenada between the British fleet, Admiral Barrington, 21 ships, and French fleet, 27 ships, Admiral D'Estaing. Although the French avoided a close action, it is supposed that their loss was 1,200 killed, owing to their ships being crowded with men. British loss 529 killed and wounded. 1781. Battle of James River. General Wayne, with 800 men, intending to strike Cornwallis's rear guard, was deceived by a countryman, and met the whole army of 4,000 regulars, drawn up to receive him. He instantly attacked them and retreated. Cornwallis, from the daring singularity of the maneuver, concluded it to be a feint to draw him into an ambuscade, therefore did not pursue him. Wayne, however, lost his artillery. 1782. Sixth action between the British fleet, Admiral Hughes, and French, Admiral Suffren, in the night, in close action. Both fleets suffered much. French lost. The Orient, crew saved. 1790. Some workmen engaged in digging near Donaghadee, Ireland, discovered a vault, 12 feet by 8, and 6 f. 3-inch deep, containing a stone coffin in which rested a skeleton measuring 8 feet 3.5 inches in length, by the side of which was a spear 7 feet in length and 2 brass urns, having the sun and moon engraved on them in a most curious, though antique manner. The vault was 17 feet from the surface of the ground, and no clue could be found to the identity of the body, or the time of its deposit there. 1790. George Augustus Eliot, Lord Heathfield, died. He gained much celebrity in the Prussian service, and during the 7 Years' War in Germany. But his constancy and talent in defense of Gibraltar during 3 years of constant investment, in which all the powers of Spain were employed, excited the admiration of the world. 1796. Adam Stanislaus Mrozewicz, a Polish poet and historian, died. 1801. Action off Algeciras between the British and French fleets. A British 74 grounded and was captured. 1809. British sloop of war Bon Citoyen captured in 6 hours 50 minutes. French frigate La Furieuse. British loss 1 killed, 5 wounded. French loss 35 killed, 37 wounded. 1809. Battle of Wagram, between the French army of 180,000 under Napoleon, and the Austrians under the Archduke Charles, of about half the force. On the 5th, and was decided on the 6th, the Austrians were compelled to retreat, after having taken 7,000 prisoners and 12 eagles, and retired fighting 3 days in succession, leaving the field of battle covered with their slain. It is stated that 27,000 fell on both sides. The French reckoned their loss 15,000 killed, about 4,000 wounded. Of the Austrians 12,000 were wounded, and 20,000 taken prisoners. 19 generals were killed or taken, and 40 cannon lost. 1813. Granville Sharp, a learned English philanthropist, died. He interested himself in the abolition of slavery, and to his exertions England owes the verdict of her highest court of law, that the slave who sets his foot on English ground becomes that instant free. 1815. Samuel Whitbread, member of the British Parliament and one of the most extensive brewers in the world, died by his own hand. 1823. Pius VII Gregory Barnabas Chiaramonti, Pope, died. He was a prisoner under Napoleon from 1808 to 1814, during which time he rejected with firmness the offers of the Emperor. 1835. John Marshall, Chief Justice of the United States, died, aged 80. He was an extraordinary man, and the object of universal respect and confidence, on account of his extraordinary talents, his unsuspected integrity, his exemplary private virtues, and his important public services, which by some are deemed second only to those of Washington. He wrote The Life of Washington, 5 volumes. 1838. Alexander Aikman, late printer of the Jamaica Royal Gazette, died. His exertions spread much light in that island. 1839. Great fire at Eastport, Maine, by which the larger portion of the business part of the town was destroyed. 1849. Successful sortie of the Danes besieged in the fort of Frederick by the Schleswig-Holsteiners, of whom 3,112 were slain and taken prisoners. 1851. David Macbeth Moyer, a Scottish writer, died at Dumfries, aged 53. He was the Delta of Blackwood's magazine, to which he was long a contributor, and in whose pages first appeared Manswatch, which was long ascribed to Galt. 1857. John Loris Blake, an American divine, died at Orange, New Jersey, aged 68. His principal work is a biographical dictionary, of which several editions were printed.